Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while. I do apologise. I've been quite ill. Mostly, well, you can tell I'm still not better. Mostly a wooziness of the brain, and sickness, and sneezing, and blocked noses, and watery eyes, and all that horrible stuff. So yeah, I've not really been in the state to make Magic content, so again, do apologise. But we're back now. And we're going to play some Historic Best of 1. Today's deck is a janky little brew, built around some of my favourite cards. In fact, a lot of my favourite cards. So most of you who have been on the channel long enough know that I've probably made like 17,000 different versions of Indomitable Creativity. This is just another one. Indomitable Creativity is a 3 red and X. Destroy X target artifacts or creatures. It's probably going to be 1. Almost every time. And then for each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until an artifact or creature card is revealed. And then you exile those cards, and then those players blah 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 blah. Basically, we turn either a Dwarven Mine token or a treasure token from Prismari Command or Magma Opus into a Velomachus. And then once we've got Velomachus, a 7-mana 5/5 with Vigilance, Flying, and Haste, whenever it attacks, you look at the top 7 cards of your library, and you get to cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to Velomachus' power from among them without paying its mana cost, and then the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what we want to do is we want to get a Velomachus down on turn 4 with our turn 4 creativity, or our Mizzix Mastery doing things, and then we want to either hit a Time Warp, which then allows us to take an extra turn, so we get to attack with Velomachus again, or if we've got a Time Warp in our graveyard, we want to hit Mizzix Mastery. Exile target card from your graveyard that's an instant or sorcery, and then you get to make a copy of it and cast it without paying its mana cost. So basically, we're going to be using Time Warp. We could also use Mizzix Mastery for a turn 4 Magma Opus as well, which can be pretty powerful if we're missing our combo. Dealing 4 damage divided as we choose, tapping 2 permanents and making a 4/4 and drawing 2 cards. It's pretty good on turn 4. It should pretty much sweep up whatever we want to sweep up. Anything else that we don't want to sweep up can get hit with Sweltering Suns or Prismari Command. Command also makes us a treasure, but it also allows us to loot, filling our graveyard, meaning Mizzix Mastery is more powerful if there's a Time Warp already waiting in the graveyard. It makes a treasure token for Indomitable Creativity, and it deals 2 damage to keep us alive. Sweltering Suns deals 3 damage to any creature. It's better than Anger of the Gods, in my opinion, for best of 1. Best of 3, you do want Anger of the Gods over this one. But with the variable nature of decks in best of 1, sometimes Sweltering Suns can be a dead card, so you really actually do appreciate the cycling a little bit more on it. And, you know, the chance of the exile side of Anger of the Gods being extremely good is not overly high. It's still pretty good, but it's not overly high. Again, to fill the graveyard, we've got Faithless Looting. We can also Brainstorm and Shuffle with the Fable passage. I'm sure most of you have seen me doing this in the past as well. That just means that if we draw a Velomachus, which is pretty much our only dead draw 100% of the time, 95% of the time, because we do have Rorgrim Triumphs, which allows to hardcast Velomachus on turn 7. We don't really want to be there, but if we are there, it's an option. Brainstorm allows us to shuffle those back into the deck. We can also use it as well to put a Time Warp that we've just drawn on top of our deck, so that when we attack with Velomachus, we can reveal that Time Warp, so that's a cool little combo as well. But yeah, I think that's basically all I'm going to talk about with this deck. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you do, would greatly appreciate it, since if there's been a lot of downtime, that means YouTube hates me. So I would like you to tell YouTube that they should love me. And to do that, you hit that like button, and you leave a comment down below, and you subscribe if you haven't yet done so. You do all the things that makes YouTube think that I'm worthy of their attention, which, you know, takes a lot these days, so I do greatly appreciate anyone who supports the channel in any of those wonderful, free, and easy ways. So, thank you very much, guys. And yeah, let's get on with the rest of the show. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we're in, and we're up against a Lurus list, which, Zan's not that great against, but the mana's good, so... Is it 3 or more? It is 3 or more. So this has to be a turn 4 play in order for that to work. I don't know. Like, we only need, like, one good draw, like a Faithless Looting to put these into the yard, and then we can use the Mastery to take some extra turns or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. Like, if it's just rogues, we've already lost, so it's not really too much of a concern. If it's auras, then we're gonna need, like, Sweltering Suns. Or a fast hand. One or the other. Swamp and Thoughtseize. Haha! Pays to have a terrible hand. Okay, Triome down. Black, white auras. Okay. Memory lapse. I'll probably want to have that open, honestly. So I'll pay 2 for that. Ooh, I will not auto-pass, thank you very much. Like, if I can just slow them down by lapsing another Thoughtseize or something like that, that'd be okay. We have the Dwarven Mine active now as well, so if we draw Indomitable Creativity off the top, we're probably going to get it going. Not that it does a great deal, but... yeah, anything that delays our opponent significantly like that, I'm absolutely all for. That's a horrible draw. Okay. So Mastery currently only hits Mastery. Or a Sorcery Speed counterspell. I think I'll opt against that. Alright, here we go. Oh, what a hit. X1, please. Alright, moment of truth. We need... well, we need something good that's probably not going to get hit because we have 2 Time Warps in our hand, but... oh. That's pretty good. We take that. We take that. Alright, so if we draw a land, we win. Unless our opponent has a removal spell for Velomachus here, which is usually aura-based, so... SRAM and, like, deadweights and things like that. I think even with a single deadweight, we've still got this, right? Well, that is their turn. Yeah, that Sweltering Suns was quite huge. Quite huge indeed. I mean, we literally can't do anything else, so... let's just swing. Hey, we hit a Time Warp. Alright, that will win us the game now, because we've got 5 mana to play with. So, play our land. And we can even Mizzix Mastery another turn. Might as well, right? Let our opponent know right now that they're actually dead. And Memory Lapse just in case they have a super turbocharged Fatal Push, I guess. Alright, pretty good. Yeah, that huge Sweltering Suns. Chef's kiss. We were going to lose otherwise, I think. But, yeah, on to the next one. Alrighty then. This sounds pretty good. It's got turn 3 Sweltering Suns. We can Brainstorm on 2 to set up our hand a little bit. We've got the creativity. We just need a way of generating a treasure for it, or a dwarf token, I suppose. But, yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Temple Garden, eh? It feels like a colour combo that will buy us enough time, and will probably fold to a Sweltering Suns. It's Angels. Alrighty then. So we could go with a Brainstorm here, because if we find a Fable Passage, we can shuffle away some of the bad cards. We did not, but we could use Faithless Looting to do it as well. Let's put a Time Warp in the graveyard, so Mizzix Mastery has a target, and Spare Creativity I think is also fine. They're not going to interact with our board state in a meaningful way, so we can just discard both of those. And then be happy with that. Like, next turn, we get to hold up and lapse and go Triome. That's very spooky. For sure. But, yeah. We just gotta hold up and lapse and slow them down, I think. Heliod. Yep. Anything that stops them playing their entire turn is fine by me. Another Indomitable Creativity. Bit of an oof owie, for being honest. Let's go with the Faithless Looting then. Ah, there we go. There's a Dwarven Mine. Alright, so let's dump a Creativity. Let's dump one of the Sweltering Suns. Play the Dwarven Mine, and then we're set up, ready to go. Maybe we don't actually set up with the Dwarven Mine there. We probably just play a Mountain, in all honesty. It gives our opponent an opportunity to beat us. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but especially now they've tapped down their flying blocker. Memory Lapse. Alright, so Mountain, Indomitable Creativity, X1. And send it. Like, we're looking for Time Warp on Mizzix Mastery here. If we hit either of those, then we're going. We're on our way. Alright, extra turn, please. Bang. Brainstorm can set up another Time Warp. Ugh. Maybe not. Maybe not. Alright, well, we don't want Creativity. We don't want this Mastery. Actually, maybe we do want the Mastery. We don't want the Sweltering Suns. Fabled Passage. Shuffle those away. We don't want to hit them with Velomachus. We still have a chance of doing it, of course, but... Hey, Time Warp, look at that. Gotta give yourself the best chance of hitting the cards, and that was definitely our way of doing it. Alright, so we're actually gonna go to our extra turn, because we might hit a Mizzix Mastery with Velomachus. Hit a Brainstorm and loads of Magma Opuses, fair enough. That's pretty good. So we're gonna put Time Warp on top, Faithless Loot, Land on top. Make sure that the Time Warp is on top there. Mastery. The Time Warp in our graveyard. Now we know Velomachus is going to hit a Time Warp, and that guarantees our opponent dies. Pretty sweet. So, one little line of play that could have come into fruition, we might have ended up doing it anyway, is Indomitable Creativity X2. The reason we want to do that is we're going to hit our Dwarf token to get our Velomachus, of course, but we could also, if our opponent left back this Righteous Valkyrie, or something that we didn't like in the way, we could target that with the Indomitable Creativity, and that gives us a chance to trade a Valkyrie for a Speaker of the Heavens or something like that. Something that doesn't get in Velomachus's way is the idea, at least, and that might have been quite useful, but yeah. Just taking all the turns. On to the next one. Alrighty then. This sounds fine. If it's a creature matchup, we're okay. We can Brainstorm if it's not. And we got pretty decent mana. No commander for our opponent. So we've dodged the sacrifice train by the looks of things. It's Angels. Alright. I mean, usually it is only like 3 decks that you ever see, so it's not too surprising. We are going to go Brainstorm here in case we draw Fabled Passage. Oh, that's really awful. That is really awful. Okay, well, I guess we lose. I guess we're going to lose. This hand on its own is not enough. We needed like a Dwarven Mine at the very least. Otherwise, we were reasonably well set up for the turn 4 creativity. If we just had like next turn Prismari Command or something like that, that would have been nice. This is where we Sweltering Suns the board. Fairly confident that's the case. Like, next turn we might be going Mastery on Brainstorm. At least that way we can put back the Velomachus. We could also just Sweltering Suns again, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think we really do want to set up for the Indomitable creativity here. Let's Brainstorm. Oh, come on, are you serious? Woo, okay. Well, we got a Sweltering Suns. Looks like we're just hard-casting Velomachus at this rate. Sweltering Sun's not going to do too much, though, because they're going to Coco up to 27, probably. Oh, wow. I guess we could just keep getting really lucky with their terrible draws. It's an option, I suppose. Alright. Play the Triome. 2 turns away from hardcast Velomachus, and... I mean, unless the card underneath Velomachus is something that pulls out a Velomachus, we're just hardcasting, so... Yeah. This is the world we live in now. Question is, do I want a creativity anything here? Probably not. I kind of want them just to kill me. Honestly, I think I would rather die. Bishop of Wings. I want them to get in with a Resplendent Angel, because we can potentially win. If we hit some really good runnings here. Only Suns in the yard, so Time Warp is the only good hit for Velomachus. We just drew more lands. As you do. I mean... Destined to lose? That's one word for it. Next game. Alrighty then, we go first. We have Treasure Token and Dwarven Mine at our disposal. Opponent with the Lightning Bolt sleeves. It's always someone aggressive. You can tell a lot about an opponent's deck by their sleeves. I would suggest always looking at it, because people so very rarely take into account that that is like information that I can use. We're going to keep this though. It's fine. Turn 1 Faithless Looting, see where we go from there. We got turn 2 Magma Opus discard if we want it. This might not be a lapsing turn, but... Don't know what other turn it might be. I'm going to get rid of the Dwarven Mine here, I think, because I've got the treasure with the Magma Opus anyway. And that'll set up a turn 4 Magma Opus. Well, it is an aggro deck of sorts. It's actually going to be vampires. Which I think a turn 4 Magma Opus should be pretty reasonable against. Oh, maybe it's mono black aggro. I'm gonna lapse this. I'm not in a huge rush to mastery, considering, you know, I would have had to draw an untapped land to do it as well. And we have failed at that. Opponent gets in, probably replay the card again. We say, yep, that's cool. And they probably play another 1-drop. Thoughtseize. Well, I'm going to discard here. They can either take the Mastery, or they can get Magma Opus. Interesting. Alright, so I want a land. So I want to increase my odds of doing that by not fetching with Fable Passage. Oof. That's okay. That's alright. So we're going to take a fair bit here. I'm assuming that it's not another Thoughtseize turn, judging by how they've done this today, because it was a very late Thoughtseize. You usually want them as early as possible. Alright, here we go again. Huh. I can sweep. Don't know if I necessarily care to do that, though. Looks like we're just going to get mana screwed to death. I don't see how it ends up any different, honestly. Like, even if at this point we manage to get the creativity going. Well, actually, they've tapped out, so I'll take that back. If they just held up and removal, then I would be in a lot of trouble. And yep, just cannot draw cards to save my life. I bet these are lands, though. You ready? There it is. That's right on top. Good lord. Next game. Opponent goes first. We don't have any blue mana, but we do have a Faithless Looting. And we have a Magma Opus as well, I suppose. It's hard to say whether we keep this one. I'm going to YOLO it. I think this is a YOLO moment. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, that's turn 4 creativity. So it could be worse. We could fill up our yard with Faithless Looting here, maybe. I'm actually probably going to want the Magma Opus. Let's get rid of Dwarven Mine. Probably Brainstorm at this point. Like, we're just going to combo on turn 4 and we're either going to win or lose. So I think that's the idea that we want to be going for here. Thermo Alchemist, that's spooky. Sulphur Falls. So we could Memory Lapse, basically gives Thermo Alchemist another trigger. We do definitely want to Magma Opus, so I guess it doesn't hurt to hold it open. My concern is this Rawgrim Triome and when I'm going to play it. This feels like them setting up... Oh. I will lapse that. That seems worth my time. Like, I can Prismari command here, so... I kind of gets the same job done in a nutshell. While they're tapped out, I'll just hit a Soulscar Mage and make a treasure. I think that's the plan. Chance of me dying, that's really what I should be asking myself, because if there's no chance of me dying, I don't want to hit Soulscar. I'd rather, like, loot. It's probably a pretty decent chance. Like, this is 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. And then, like, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've already played my land. Yeah, it's a weird one. I think I'm gonna loot. Mizzix is Mastery, so we discard you. Discard you. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I really needed a 4th land there. That's what I was hoping for most of all. Another Thermo Alchemist. Do they save the Stomp? They do not. Sweltering Suns off the top? Nope. Quite the opposite, honestly. Alright, give me a land. Thank you. We are going to discard Faithless Looting. Discard a land. Fable Passage is going to thin the deck, increase the odds that that Velomachus does a thing. We're going down to 9. Bone Crusher Giant won't do it. So that means if they've got 3 damage bird spell, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It'd be exactly enough. Looks like we've dodged exactly enough. Alright. Moment of truth. In the deck, grab a mountain just in case we get a Dwarven Mine. Create a treasure. It's a Time Warp. Okay, so we only really need one good hit. Creativity X1. Velomachus, please. Like, Sweltering Suns will probably keep us alive. Time Warp will win us the game. Alright, we win. Yeah, let's go again. Time Warp. We don't want to use the Mizzix Mastery until we absolutely have to. Because, you know, we could hit one with Velomachus and then we've used it out of the graveyard by accident. But we literally have the win now. So Mizzix Mastery on Time Warp. Time Warp, an extra turn. Then we got this Time Warp off the treasure we just made from the Magma Opus. And then we got the Mizzix Mastery on the Time Warp we just used from the Magma Opus to take another turn. Plus 2 combat damage strikes with Velomachus along the way. So, yeah. Woo! that was a bit of a spooky one. I think I probably made a couple of mistakes there. I've still got a bit of a woozy brain, so do forgive me. But yeah, pretty good. On to the next one, maybe? Yeah, let's have another one. Alright, we go first. We've got Opus and Lapse to do on turn 2. We're going to keep this one. Like, Velomachus is basically a 6-card hand until we can get rid of it. But it's fine. I think we should be okay with this. So, no turn 1 Thoughtseize, please. Not that it would do a great deal, but it would be preferable for it to not occur. Ooh, Mizzix Mastery. Very nice. Alright, so if we don't have to lapse anything, we can discard Opus. Against an Izzet deck, we do have to be slightly concerned about Prismari Command. Same thing for Jeskai Control as well. Gonna have to play this very carefully. Let's play a land. Let's pass the turn. Yeah, we're gonna need turn 4 creativity with Lapse open, probably. We do not counter the card draw here. Looking for that land drop. They found it. Alright, well, if I draw a Mastery off the top, I win the game. Most likely. We'll see. I suppose I could take this opportunity to Mizzix Mastery, knowing I can resolve it here. Like, if they just go for, like, a Narset next turn, I'm going to feel real bad, so... I think I force them to, like, tap out and Wrath, and we also get to draw here, increasing our odds of an Indomitable Creativity. So 4 damage, tap your lands, draw 2, make a 4/4. Fetching response, of course. Oh, we got the creativity. Alright, so now we've got a 4/4 beating down. They need to respect it. Because they're on 14, and obviously that's not a great place to be. Sulfur falls, so they can hold up in a memory lapse here. And they're discarding to hand size as well. Lovely. So the worst thing that they could have is Lightning Helix or Memory Lapse. If it's a Memory Lapse, I tap out. But I can still hold open Memory Lapse from the treasure token. I think we go for it. Like, our graveyard doesn't exist, so it needs to literally be Time Warp that Velomachus hits, otherwise we're kind of in trouble. But we could be on Hardcast Velomachus later anyway. I think it's okay. So, we're gonna hit our 4/4 token, not the treasure, because that means that we can hold up and lapse. So if we whiff, basically, like, our opponent can't just go Wrath of God. Lol, you're dead, kind of thing. I think they're considering the lapse. I really hope it in Brazen Borrower, actually. I've not seen many Jeskai lists doing that. So now then, what do we do with this information? Because we could lapse this and go. But if we whiff, what happens? I'm definitely going to shuffle because I want to draw the Indomitable Creativity. If we whiff, our opponent wraths, and it's several turns until we get to do anything. I think I just let this go and I hit him for 4. So this has to get a Wrath of God, I think. So that's for a Plains. Yeah. Oh, to Fairy. Yeah, we'll lapse that. Okay, so Triome means next turn Hardcast Velomachus, I think. Right, 3, 6, 7, yeah. Gonna go for it. Opponent's tapped out, so it must be done. I think we were gonna draw a Velomachus as well. Alright. Not really what we wanted. But we can do Prismari Command. Deal 2. Draw 2. There's a memory lapse. We just made our land drop, though. So we're not going to need it. I think we just discard the Brainstorm as well, because we need the land for Velomachus. And we want the Magma Opus, because that also presents lethal. So our opponent has to have, like, Wrath here, plus Lapse. Teferi Tuck won't do it, I'll just actually combat damage you to death. So yeah, GG. Dead in 2 different ways here. I can Magma Opus or I can Velomachus, but we're here to Velomachus, so that's just what we'll do. And that should hit a Time Warp, yep. That's it will. You can kind of guess when the Time Warps are going to turn up by the amount of times you've whiffed up until that point, or not seen it. Because, you know, as the deck gets thinner and thinner, the odds ever increase, so you can start to eventually guess. Like, obviously, there's, you know, definitely a chance that all 4 of my Time Warps are at the bottom of my deck at all times, you know? That's definitely a thing that can happen. So it's... You gotta basically try not to get too salty about that, because that's just RNGesus for you. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and yeah, I do apologise for the lack of content recently. And hopefully you've enjoyed the video, as I said. If you have, I'd really greatly appreciate it if you would help me reboot my channel from taking a day off by hitting that like button, subscribing if you haven't done so already, and hitting a comment down below to feed the algorithm. All those things help YouTube decide that my content is worthy of showing it to everybody else, so I really appreciate it. Take care, guys, and have a wonderful night.